only person making an accusation that people are not getting what they've asked for is Trump, falsely claiming that the administration is withholding resources because of political affiliation. That is just not true.
Hurricane Milton victims in Florida may have been denied help for being Trump supporters. A FEMA official has now been fired for telling relief workers to bypass homes with Trump vans campaign signs.
They then turn around and go, see, FEMA's not coming to help you because it's a Republican area. And then people go, see? No, not see. You've got to see for the first time in your life if you're MAGA. Donald Trump is a con man using you as his mark. Donald Trump's a ridiculous, pathetic liar.
Well, the Federal Emergency Management Agency is facing major backlash after confirming reports that a supervisor ordered disaster relief workers to avoid homes with Trump yard signs.
What would you say to people propagating misinformation about the emergency response to these storms?
Stop politicizing FEMA.
Elon Musk is hopping about the country, spewing and tweeting political falsehoods and attacking FEMA while claiming his desire to help the hurricane victims with free Starlink access to the internet.
Donald Trump is literally putting lives at risk right now. If you can't trust FEMA and trust basic weather reports, for example, which he's questioned in the past.
Elon Musk, the richest man in the world and top Trump ally, has also pushed lies about the hurricane to his millions of followers on the social media platform he owns.
What is going on, guys? Hey, I want to come back to you, and I wanted to bring you a video about FEMA. Apparently, FEMA, they have been skipping over Trump supporters' homes because they're too hostile or whatever they said. But anyways, his supervisor was fired down in Florida because again they were skipping over the homes. And she said, and she was interviewed by Roland Martin, Roly-Poly Fat Boy Martin. She was interviewed by him, and she said, hey, look, this is going on throughout the whole agency. And yeah, so again, I'm sure it was. But I wanted to play for you a little bit of what she said on the Black Star Network. Watch.
Good morning, glad to have you here. So let's walk through this. First of all, when were you notified? Because the Daily Wire said there was a whistleblower who made this point. Go ahead.
I was notified after I demobbed. The next morning, they told me verbally I was fired, but they never provided me anything in writing stating that I was fired. They all alleged that these actions were made on my own recognizances and that it was for my own political advances. However, if you look at the record, there is what we call a community trend. And unfortunately, it just so happened that the political hostility that was encountered by my team, and I was on 2 different teams during this deployment, they just so happened to have the Trump campaign signage. FEMA always preaches avoidance first and then de-escalation. So this is not isolated. This is a colossal event of avoidance, not just in the state of Florida, but you will find avoidance in the Carolinas. Senior leadership will lie to you and tell you that they do not know. But if you ask the DSA crew leads and specialists what they are experiencing in the field, they will tell you.
Again, I'm sure she's right. I am. That, there was a bigger effort, a bigger concerted effort on part of FEMA to discriminate against certain people based on political ideology. I'm sure there was. She said that, we're going to get to it in a second, but she said that, again, they did not want to be around hostile people that blame them or whatever. Again, they wanted to avoid them. And I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did want to avoid them. But again, could you imagine if they said, we avoided people in whatever part of New Orleans during Katrina because, again, they were hostile towards aid workers when they got there. I'm sure people, they'd be outraged to know that in their computer system, they actually put it in there. Again, avoided this area because again, they're more of a certain demographic that we wanted to avoid. Again, they were difficult people, whatever. And I'm sure there were a lot of difficult Harris Wolf people as well. And again, I believe they admit to it. But, I mean, could you imagine still that this is being done on a bigger level? It's not just in Florida, but it's North Carolina, South Carolina after Helene. I mean, again, we're talking about a big effort to deny certain people. I get, guys, man, this is just, I get we knew it in a way, but it's shocking also.
They say you skipped the homes. And so when you talk about the incident reports, have you released those publicly? Have you released the report saying this is where I notified FEMA executives of these particular homes and how they were hostile to our workers?
So I have not relinquished any reports. And any time that we relinquish reports, we do not state specific homes due to PII. What we do is we discuss community trends. So if we are noticing, for example, on Mary Street, you'll find 3 or 4 homes that we tried to canvass and we were greeted with unwelcomed arms, or people are coming out guns blazing or he's screaming at us, then that's a street we need to avoid altogether.
This was a text message that you sent us where one of the folks out there said, "Good morning, LeGros Road is politically hostile. We are not canvassing this street any further. Moved on to North Lakeview Road. Great decision. Thanks for the update."
Exactly. So my senior leadership was aware of the amount of encounters that was going on in the field. Again, this was my second time and a second crew in Florida and experiencing unwelcomed behavior from the residents. Now, not all Floridians have been unpleasant, but for the most part, the ones that are very passionate about their disdain for FEMA, they have no problem expressing it.
So walk us through this. You also sent us this, and it says how it works. Purple paint marks. Property owners can paint vertical lines of purple paint on trees or posts along the perimeter of their property. It said why it's important for safety, clear boundaries, avoiding accidents. The purple paint clearly communicates that entry onto the land is prohibited without permission, reducing the risk of trespassing-related confrontations. So explain to us what this means, what this is.
It means they can shoot you. If they don't have the sign up that says that they will shoot you, purple rocks and painting of trees means that you are likely to be shot. It means you're unwelcome. Do not come.
So
and they mean that by FEMA is very well aware of the incidents that take place, not just with my crew, but with all of the crews in the state that's declared. And instead of just saying, hey, this is how we're going to mitigate it to protect our people, they decided to fire me and make sure Donald Trump knows that they are loyal to him because they fear retribution. The important thing is here, once we start seeing a trend, for example, if they just so happen to have these Trump campaign signs in front of their home, and that's the characteristic that's coming along with that, we have to proceed with precaution. So avoidance first and then de-escalation. And that's the thing. Our superiors know that. We have constant conversations about keep your people safe. If your people are uncomfortable, then just don't go.
Okay, guys, now what she's saying, she had to go out and, they've had so much problem, I guess, with attitudes with Trump folks that they now avoid their homes. And something Roland brings up, man, is he says that so you don't go anywhere that you don't feel safe. And she goes, right. That means you don't go. Even if they don't have a Trump sign, you still wouldn't go there if you don't feel safe. And she's like, well, yeah, but we don't go there. And he goes, see, it's not, basically kind of applying that it's not about discrimination against MAGA folks. No, it's not about that. It's about, again, feeling safe. The problem is, Roland, when you don't go somewhere preemptively because they have a Trump sign or a MAGA sign or, whatever, MAGA flag or whatever, on their property. That's what the problem is. If you don't go there, if you don't go anywhere on that street, because again, majority of those homes are MAGA. That's what the problem is. Right there. And again, people don't seem to get that. They don't seem to understand that. And she's saying, her defense is she's saying, it's not only happening here in Florida, it's happening in the Carolinas as well. Again, it's part of a bigger, basic program. We don't go, that's part of a bigger rule. We don't go anywhere where we don't feel safe. And we've established that we definitely don't go to areas that are MAGA. Again, we avoid those. And that is where the issue is. They're avoiding somebody based on their political ideology. So again, they're weaponizing an agency. They're weaponizing it. They're saying, you know what? We can't go into your area because your area is hostile to us. It's like, well, wait a minute. Again, New Orleans, 2005, Katrina. Do you think a lot of the areas they had to go into were good areas? Of course they weren't. Oh, yeah, I know some of these areas, they're bad news. But again, they pick and choose. Like right now, it's about not going into MAGA areas. So again, they're sending a message to MAGA, to Trump folks. And now, again, they're trying to say, no, gosh, no, that was just a single incident. And again, it's not company, it's not agency wide. It's just her. And she's saying, well, no, it's not. That's the way that the whole agency does this. And again, I'm not going to say she is good, but I am going to say I believe her. I do believe her that this is something that's systemic. Again, we talk about systemic, whatever, racism, whatever. This right here is the definition of systemic. Again, they avoid Trump supporter areas. They pull back. They won't even go there. And again, they don't know if they're hostile or not. It's just because they support Trump. They're not going to go there. Because again, they've had problems with Trump supporters in the past. But guys, watch this.
Where there were no Trump signs, there were no Harris Biden signs, there are no signs at all, and your teams face hostility, and y'all made the exact same decision to move on.
Yes, sir.
So when you look at how Republicans and MAGA is trying to play this as, she skipped the Trump folk, how do you respond to that?
I respond to it in the same fashion that I'm going to respond to you now. If you greet any of our team members with hostility or aggression, we will de-escalate and disengage and move on. we cannot take that risk to deal with that type of behavior.
Guys, I want to hit this point one more time in a really big way. You know, we got to understand, if you don't think anything else out of this this video, understand one thing. Again, what they're saying is, you know, they don't want to deal with hostile people, but they're going to go ahead and assume that every MAGA folks, all the Trump people, they are the ones that are going to be hostile. They're going to go ahead and assume, and they're not going to even stop at their house. Like she said, if they want to come out and, you know, introduce themselves and sign up for service or whatever, that's one thing. But yeah, I mean, they're not going to even stop. Think about that for just a second. Again, yeah, they might not want to deal with anyone that's hostile, and they'll leave if they get their way. But they're not even going to stop. If you got a Trump sign in your front yard, you're not even going to stop, and they didn't. And that's what the issue is. They wouldn't even stop. This right here, this clear-cut political discrimination. That's all it is. I mean, imagine if they wouldn't stop at people's homes because they're black. Just imagine. You know, again, they don't know if that family over there is hostile, but they do know that that black people, there are 13% of the U.S. population, yet they commit almost 54% of all violent crime. Again, we got to understand that actually would make more sense, because think about it for a minute. How many cases do they actually have of Trump supporters being violent with female workers? I would say none. Because again, if they had it, we would hear about it. So again, I would say none. None at all. And again, if you know of any, please leave that below in the comments, because I would love to know. But again, everyone would scream and cry and everything about racial discrimination if they wouldn't stop at black people's homes. And then they said, if they want to come out of their house and be nice and be respectful and everything else, we'll talk to them. We'll work with them, whatever. I mean, again, people will be up in arms. They'll be like, man, you can't do that. You're a government agency that's supposed to help in a case of emergency. And you're not stopping at somebody because of the color of their skin or religion or whatever. I mean, can you imagine? Again, but they can do it when it comes to Trump folks, MAGA. Again, we gotta see what's really happening here, because again, when you understand, you witness what's happening, and again, you avoid getting mad, but you see it and you speak up. That's when things stop. But guys, man, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks. You son of a